Welcome to the show, Georgia Hudson. You came up through your work in music videos, directing and rising to the nomination of Best Director at the UKMVAs in 2019. You have collaborations with a long list of high-grade talent, including Pink, who you got nominated for Best Director for at least one of her videos, Lenny Kravitz, Jorja Smith. Not only that, you've also got a passion for dance, style and empowerment, combined with a dedication for clear communication and emotion-driven storytelling, which comes through very much in the way you present your work and your videos. Just 2 years into your commercial career, you were awarded Director of the Year Europe for your body of work in the industry. You continue to work prolifically, making conscious, relevant work with a distinct point of view. It's brilliant to have you with us, Georgia. There's so much to talk with you about everything that you've been doing. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do tell us more.
Well, thank you for having me, Tom and Skyler. I'm pleased to be here. Is there some specific direction that I could tell you more about?
Anything you like. I mean, we've just touched the surface on some of the music videos and so on that you've been involved in. How did that sort of start out for you? Was it just you were in the right place at the right time for some of those projects?
I think, like with most creative careers, it's a combination of different things. And some of it's to do with being in the right place at the right time. And then a myriad of other things as well, I suppose. I mean, for me, what happened, I went to art school and I studied ceramics. So I wasn't destined to work in film or music. Yeah. I remember seeing a psychic when I was a teenager who told me one day I was going to work behind the scenes in music, somehow behind the scenes. And I was like, really? I can't sing. Like, I couldn't really imagine what that meant. Yeah. And certainly doing ceramics, I didn't anticipate that. I made music when I was at art school. I made soundscapes and I sung in bands, and I ended up filming a lot of things and photographing a lot of things, and my ceramics work came quite conceptual. And then once I graduated, I wanted to work in an industry with other people. I didn't like working in an isolated way, and at that point I could go on Gumtree and look for people who had no money, who needed someone to like turn up and film something, and I just started kind of educating myself through throwing myself into the deep end, basically, and doing whatever I could with the resources I had at the time. And a lot of my work that I put out was really messy and scrappy, but that just became my style and I just owned it. And I think there's a part of like fake it till you make it, and kind of luckily I never judged myself so harshly that I paralyzed myself into like not being able to just put stuff out.
Yeah.
So some ball started rolling, and then it just was like playing basketball, met some guy who was a music video agent, this, that,
Yeah.
And then it started kind of developing in that way, just through experience and willingness and curiosity and a bit of courage.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what it takes. What's some of your favorites?
Some of the favorite work that I've made would definitely includes the videos I've done for Pink. I've actually done 3 videos for her, but only two were released. We first collaborated about 5 years ago, and it was a real like moment for me in my career that this big like pop star was interested in having me make a music video for her, because up to that point I'd done a lot of UK acts, but much smaller in terms of their reach and impact. And she's an icon. She's been around for a long time, and she's made a real significant dent on the music scene and done a lot for kind of contemporary like pop punk, and like that spirit of things put into a pop dynamic, and done a lot for like women on screen too. So, and in music, she's really stood by her values. So I was amazed to be able to do something for her, and very much true to the idea of who we might think she is. She gave me a lot of freedom and really wanted to support me and back my vision. And she really saw me as an artist and wanted that to come through. So she didn't micromanage it at all. And they put a lot of budget in. So that was one video about 5 years ago. And that was kind of when she was launching a new album. And it was her more like emo kind of epic emotional song off the album. And we did a great job with that. It was incredible. We got to work with a helicopter and huge dance cast and multiple locations. And it was absolutely epic. I had the time of my life. And then the second time we worked with her, which was this time last year, she called after 5 years And again, releasing a new album, it was the emotional epic off of the album, and she wanted me to do that for her. And again, even this time, it was even more like, do what you want. I just want you to hear the
Wow.
song and like tell me what you see, what you feel. I want to make other people feel like, let's do it. So that's what's so exciting, is when you work with someone who really lets you do what you want to
You
do.
run with it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because your dad worked with Sophia Loren, and,
Mm-hmm.
and on the show he told us that was amazing for him because she's like the same thing. Just be yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And when you get to do that, I mean, now you say you sing too, right?
Yeah.
So are you gonna do your own video?
I don't
Oh, yeah.
know. I think it's good to have a few things that are reserved as hobbies, like just for myself,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
yeah.
I love it. Tom?
Well, I also want to talk a little bit about other works that you've done. You did an exhibition of sort of poetry that you've done called
Yeah.
Orange Eyes, which you did in 2022. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you did with that?
Yeah, and that segues nicely off the singing question, because also when I was a teenager, I used to, I wouldn't say rap, but I used to play around with
Right.
like the rhythms of rapping.
Wordplay. Yeah.
Yeah, and like definitely performed a few raps in,
Okay.
like with humility and comedy attached to it. But that's really because I always loved words and I loved performing, and it was just trying to find a way to do that. So anyway, fast forward 20 years, and I still had the same urge. And I write poems, I collect poems, I believe they're all hanging out in the ether and they just want to be collected, kind of words. And so I was doing that. I also found it very therapeutic, using words to kind of like dig through a chapter of my life where I had had a lot of transformation. So I collected these poems, made a book of works and otherwise, and I wanted to raise money for a charity that also offered transformational help to children. So we had a big launch and an event and sold the books for charity, and they're beautiful little items with, like some kind of, I wouldn't say the best poetry in the world, just some that I've written. And again, it's like just trying not to judge too harshly what I produce, otherwise I don't think I'd put anything out. But yeah, so that exists, and that was very like deeply gratifying. And much like you guys are called Music for Global Change, I'm really interested in how creativity can, feed the kind of like the globe, and how we can give back through our art. And I'm very driven by social change and wanting to be a part of, like sending love outwards towards society by using my own experiences, I suppose as a material for that. And I hope that that comes across in my music videos as well as my commercials and the poetry and all of it. Yeah, it's not really about the medium for me, but it is about the heart being like, well, what can I give back? So I vibe with that message that you also seem to stand for. So.
Now, see, so have you turned your poems into lyrical content?
I did actually. I worked with, when we came to do the event last year, I wanted to perform a few of the poems, and I collaborated with some musicians from South London that I know, a DJ, musicians type, a couple and we went into the studio and I recorded my reading the poems, and they mixed them and made them into a kind of interesting artistic score, which I also go for. So that one of those things does exist out there. It's called Orange Eyes. Oh no, that's the book. The poem we made a video for is called Camberwell Green, which is on my website and is an ode to the part of London I've now lived in for 20 years. Yeah, in all its bittersweet nature. So we did do that, and I love collaborating with musicians in many ways. Yeah.
Is it something you'd consider doing again, doing the poetry book, stuff like that? Or was that like a one-off thing that you've now done, or do you feel that it would be something you'd continue to do?
I would like to, I mean, I will continue to do work like that. I think that very much was a moment in time, like the nature of that book. So we'll see. I think maybe I'd love to do, I'm writing a feature film at the moment. I'm writing a short film, and I'm setting up a community project called Radiance FM, which is about connecting people together
Yeah.
who want to like, raise the vibration of their communities and the work they're making, and really like to help people uncover their authentic self. And when I say people, I mean young people especially. So it's a community that can support young people to emerge radiantly. So those are the things that are taking my attention at the moment, along with the commercial work. And my lovely son, who's 8 years old as well. He also needs to be raised.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
there are those things. The poems always collecting themselves and kind of getting made on in some way. And we'll see. It always becomes clear when something wants to arise. I almost feel like a part of putting on that event and writing that poetry book was for me to remember how to do something for the first time, so that as I'm doing more of my youth mentoring, it's just a bit fresher in the memory about like what it takes to kind of do something that terrifies you.
Wow. So you do speaking engagements for the young people?
Yeah. At the moment, last year I did a couple of seminars, I suppose, for people not within schools but outside of schools, in kind of like, I don't know what they're called, like GCSE equivalent BTEC spaces, that kind of age, teenager age. And what I've been doing otherwise is on all my commercial jobs running a mentoring scheme where we take young people alongside it to help to kind of like, well, it's just a perfect little structure. They come and they make their behind the scenes film, they get mentoring as they go. So we're still figuring out exactly what the best way to like serve them is through this work, and really like how to focus the energy into something that's genuinely productive. Often even better than talking to young people is just like engaging creatively with them,
Yeah.
you know, like on a project, and then everything gets learnt, you know, by the side, alongside it in more subtle ways, which I think works well.
Right. Tom?
I just want to know what's next for you, George. Really, what's sort of next on your plan?
Well, it is October. It's the beginning of October, so we have a kind of commercials industry event coming up in Berlin in a month's time, where I'm giving a talk on how we work with dance and how dance is like a physical therapy, and kind of how to creativity, dance, and how to upstand like your values in a capitalist environment. And then after that, though, I'm going to get a commercial job in probably, I imagine, for November. So I'm just waiting for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's normally what happens. So I'm on the bit where we pitch and then see about that. And then otherwise, yeah, just developing the projects which I mentioned, which is a kind of ongoing.
You pitch yourself or you have an agent?
I pitch.
You
Yeah. Yeah. So I receive opportunities and we decide whether they're right, get invited to pitch by creative agencies. And then when we say yes, my team comes together and we build a pitch. And then you're a 1 in 3 chance of winning it. If you win it, then you have to do what you've promised that you'll make. And yeah, and that depends where you're shooting it, and you just start the process of production, which as a director means that essentially you have to communicate whatever vision you've had or responded to. You have to communicate the vision to teams of people, get everyone aligned, and then respond to the options that they bring you, you know, whether that's from all the different teams, because it's so many people come together to build short form commercial music videos. It's 100 people or so. But I just talk to the heads of department, and then it goes down and we create it together. And it kind of creates itself too, because often things aren't possible, and so then you have to choose other things and be clever like this. So that's creativity though, isn't it? Kind of it's a little bit of let's do this and a little bit of let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the best results. Leave space for nature to intervene.
Yeah. Now, they send you the lyrics and you kind of look them over and say, I see this there or I see this here.
Yeah, with a song, normally what happens is they'll send me the track and I'll listen to it quite a few times, and then I normally break it down into the time codes of when I feel like visually it's shifting. So it's like maybe that's an intro and then you need to move here and there. So I break it down and then I start plotting out the visuals that I've seen. I think everyone responds and works differently, but I see visuals and I see atmospheres and things that want to happen and I feel it, and then I translate that into a story that kind of mirrors, find imagery that supports what I've seen, and kind of create a in detail plan of what I'd like to do. and then we respond, work with the artist when, you know, and with budget parameters as well. You know, I've got quite good at thinking, being like, okay, cool, we have X amount of money, so that means we can only really do 2 setups. This has to work in a day. So how's that gonna? Yeah. So it's a bit, you know, there's a practical thing that goes into the visionary stuff as well.
I imagine some things happen faster than others.
The best ideas I've had come straight away. Like I'll just close my eyes and listen to the song and it's there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it ever has to be forced. I think it's such a myth that work needs to be like, creative work needs to be laborious or hard. I think like the more you relax and just allow it to arrive, the better quality it is. Yeah. Because it's not mine. It comes through you, not from you. That's how I feel.
That's right. Tom?
Well, I've got a twofold question. Firstly, when you do a music video, for example, how much of the vision is coming from the art? Does any of it come from the artist? Would they give you an idea? Here, this is my song. Here's how I would like it, and then you mold it, or is it all from you? And secondly, how long, if you can put a time scale on it, how long do you get, and how long does an average project like that take?
First question, it depends. It totally depends. Sometimes, like with Alicia Pink, she was like, what do you think? Just tell me what you feel, what you see. Totally open. And then I've had other artists like Loyle Carner. The first time I worked with him, he was like, I see that this video is about me, and I want my partner to be in hospital and she's just had a baby, and he saw it quite clearly. And so we kind of did that. And I was like, cool, we'll use that as a backbone. How about we then have a group of dads with babies and we put your mum on the ceiling, like overlooking, and make it a bit surreal. And so then we developed it together. So some artists really want to collaborate and some want to know what you think.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone will come and say, I want to wear a suit. And like that will be their brief. So, you know, which is fine as well. So it's completely varied. I think the more confident the artist in their own work, more confidently they let someone else come on board.
Yeah.
And then the second question was, how long does it all take? Well, not we don't get given lots of time. So normally what will happen with a pitch is I'll have about a week to do a pitch, send it in. They'll take any amount of time they like to decide, normally about a week or so. And then you know, production have to budget everything, all of this, and then once it's been signed off and they're like, cool, the money's yours, we love the idea, let's go, it's probably about anything from 2 weeks to 3 weeks prep, and then, you know, however long it's going to take to shoot, a day or two, or you know, that we don't get much time for music videos because the budgets aren't big. Commercial will be more days, depends how many shoot days, and then you stop, you have a rest day, and then you go into the edit, which takes minimum a week, normally 2, sometimes a month if it's commercial. And then go and grade it, which is another day. So normally about 2 months, I'd say, per project.
Wow. You know what? We're going to get all your information so that we can add it to our network.
Just want to know, basically, for people out there, what sort of, if you are on any kind of social media platforms, where people can see what you're doing, see what you've done in the past, how to interact with what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, my website, georgiahudson.com, hosts a lot of my work, and I use Instagram daily, and I'm Georgia__Hudson.
Okay. All right, good stuff. We'll put those links in the video as well, so people can go and take a look at the bottom of the video and check it out.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
thank you,
great
cuz.
to talk to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for coming on the show. Really wonderful to have you here, cuz. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Skyler.
All right. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.